James Fanell is a former U.S. Naval intelligence officer. Of course, the first question, what are the key issues for the average American when he goes out to poll?
Well, the key issues, according to the polls, are, obviously the number one is the economy. Given the state of the economy in America in terms of inflation over the last 4 years, the cumulative effect of inflation that in that first year was up over 9% after just being around 1% under Trump. So the dramatic inflation of prices in America have really put a burden on the majority of Americans' ability to do the simple function of life, which is to be able to buy food, to provide shelter for their families, and care for the basic needs of not a life. So that's the number one issue. I think the other issue that's now, I think the polls are starting to indicate is the border security, and the fact that over the last 4 years of the Biden-Harris administration, the southern border and the northern border were essentially left open.
Right. Talking about poll projections, and they predict that the Americans trust Donald Trump more than Kamala Harris when it comes to the country's economy. Do you think this is actually going to result in more votes for Trump and perhaps the possibility of him winning the election?
Yes, I think the people have 4 years of experience with Trump. They remember, it's not that long ago, what the economy was like under President Trump before COVID hit. And so people understood that one of the key elements of the Trump policies, there's two key elements basically, which was the reduction in taxes, getting rid of taxes from people, and then also regulations in small business and business in general. So people were allowed to do capitalist things. They were allowed to buy and sell and trade and make new companies, and to be creative and to make their fortunes if they would so choose. And that's kind of what the American way, as we say.
Why do you think Americans are favoring Trump's immigration policies as per poll projections? And on top of it, there are a lot of these incendiary statements that he has made. He's talked about America has become a trash can because you're not able to check immigration. He's spoken about how immigrants are going to take your jobs. The crime rate has increased because of the immigrants. He's spoken about how immigrants are even going to eat your pets, your cats and dogs. And this has still not distanced people from disregarding Trump and his immigration policies. Why do you think that is?
Well, as I was saying, one of the key issues for Americans is the safety and security of their families in their own cities and towns across America. So the border has been left open. Up to 21 million people have come in from around the world. Many of these people are people that may have been pushed on America from other countries. We have examples of Venezuela opening up their prisons and things of that nature. So that's not to say everybody that came across is a criminal, but there are clearly criminal elements. In fact, the government's, this administration, the Biden-Harris administration's own FBI statistics and Homeland Security statistics indicate that there was literally hundreds of thousands of known criminals that are in the country, murderers, rapists, and other forms of crime that have come into the country. That scares Americans.
Right, absolutely. Now, Kamala Harris's pro-abortion campaign has resonated with the American women. Do you think this could cost Donald Trump the win that he is looking for?
Well, I'm not sure I agree with the premise that Harris's pro-abortion campaign has worked. There are many people in America that have strong religious views about abortion, equally as some have about what they claim is a woman's right. I think the Harris reliance upon this issue, it's got some flaws. First of all, the reversal of the Roe versus Wade court case from 50 years ago, the Dobbs decision under President Trump while he was president, and the Supreme Court made that ruling. Since that time, that did not change the basic status of abortion in America in terms of some national mandate. All it did was it said the decision for abortion regulations will be made by the states, which is consistent with the Constitution.
Now, Democrats have targeted Trump over his Ukraine plan for a peace deal. Now, do you think foreign policy really impacts how Americans are voting?
Well, traditionally, Americans do not place a high priority on foreign policy issues in elections. It's considered, but it's not one of the highest issues. It's, as I said, domestic issues like the economy, prices, domestic security, even this abortion issue. But I think in this case, people are still, there is a new movement in America, a new consensus between Republicans and former Democrats like Robert F. Kennedy Jr. and Tulsi Gabbard, who are saying, hey, we're tired of foreign wars, we're tired of the death and destruction. And so this issue of the war in Ukraine is now very serious because we have, the facts are over 1 million human beings have been killed in a war in the Ukraine. And Donald Trump and his party have now stood up and said, we're the party for peace, we're the party for ending wars and needless death.
Right. Now, do you feel that there is general sentiment amongst Americans that they do not want the country to participate in any more wars, whether it is the West Asia conflict or the Ukraine war or this conflict that is going on with China?
Yeah, there is definitely the statement is no more foreign wars, no more endless wars. And so, in a sense, America was fighting in the Middle East from Desert Storm in 1990, Desert Storm, up until the pullout in 2021, in August of 2021 out of Afghanistan. That was literally, 30 years of war America was conducting in the Middle East. And so people, trillions of dollars, many thousands of lives of Americans and more of other nations, countless lives, a lot of destruction, and then to watch the Biden-Harris administration just pull out unilaterally without consultation of their allies, without any commitment, or not commitment, but without any, a concerted effort to make sure that our allies in Afghanistan, the people that had helped us, and that our interests there were taken care of before we left, pulling the military out before the civilians, very, very bad look, both internationally and domestically. And so I think Americans have had a lot of it, and they're sick and tired of what they consider to be foreign wars, and they don't want to be involved with them unless it attacks their vital national security interests.
Okay, let's go back 3 years, and it was January 6, 2021, the insurrection issue that has been used to attack Trump time and again in this election campaign as well. Now, Democrats have oftentimes called him fascist and a dictator and, likened him to Hitler. Trump, on the other hand, continues to defend himself, calling that particular day of insurrection as the day of love. In whose side will the voters sway?
I think that the Democrat Party has played for the last 4 years, or it's now, 3.5 years, the January 6th event, and they've gone to the well with that over and over again, and I think the American people recognize, again, there's been an exaggeration about the extent of the danger of January 6th. For instance, they never quote Donald Trump's full statements from that day where he told the crowd to peacefully protest, which was their First Amendment right. That never gets played on the mainstream media in America. They cut that part out. Now we find out also in the last 3.5 years that actually Donald Trump offered up troops to the Speaker of the House, Nancy Pelosi, and she rejected them. Troops that could have been used to make sure that the violence that occurred that day wouldn't have happened. Then there was the trial that was held in the Congress. That trial was violation of the history and precedent of the U.S. House of Representatives and the Congress, where they did not allow the Republican Party to choose their own members of that committee.
Now, if I were to ask you, is Trump likely to get the sympathy vote after the assassination bids on him, or did his rating soar momentarily when that incident happened and it really wouldn't make a difference in the way people vote?
I don't think it's a sympathy vote. I think Americans recognize with the numerous assassination attempts, they connect the dots, if you will. They can see that there is what appears to be almost a desperation by the other party, the Democrat Party, to prevent Trump from coming to office. He was impeached twice, which is unprecedented in American history. He's been indicted 92 times in several courts across the country for accusations of crimes that largely have been disproven. And then you have the constant barrage in the media on a daily basis across all the major media outlets. The New York Times, the Washington Post, NBC, ABC, CBS, MSNBC, all of them attacking Donald Trump every day of the week. So the media is against him. So Americans have this sense that the system, the people that are in power, will do anything they can to stop President Trump from becoming president again. And in a way, Americans have a tradition of supporting the underdog, the person that's being unfairly treated. We like fairness. We like to see fair treatment.
Okay, how do you think the battle states are going to, in whose favor are they going to swing, and how are the residents of these battle states going to vote? As of today, polls are predicting that there are 4 states where Trump has the edge, while the other 3 is where Harris has the lead.
Yeah, at this point, I don't trust polls. I know the polls you're talking about. I can find other polls that say Trump's up in all of the 7 battleground states. I can find polls that say that Harris is. So polls have been historically wrong, but I can say to you that when you compare where Trump was in relationship to Biden in 2020, where he was in relationship to Hillary Clinton in 2016, Trump is now, you could say, if you want to use public polling, he's equal to them, equal to Harris. It's an equal race. But in previous races where Trump narrowly lost in 2020 or won in 2016, Trump was greatly behind Clinton and Biden. So you may want to, you could say that it's possible that Trump is going to be very much ahead on November 5th, at least, based on that trajectory and that comparison with the relationship with the Clinton race and the Biden race.
Okay, all right.
For more such videos, subscribe to the NewsX YouTube channel, hit the bell icon.